Have you ever tried to control everything around you, only to end up feeling more lost and exhausted? Do you ever wish for a moment of peace, but find your mind trapped by constant worry? It's a feeling so many of us know. But what if life isn't asking you to fight harder? What if it's simply asking you to trust the wind? In a quiet valley nestled among emerald hills, there stood an ancient monastery. Time there seemed to move slower than the wind itself. The mornings were filled with birdsong, and the afternoons carried the scent of rain and pine. It was a place of deep peace, but not every heart inside it was calm. Among the monks lived a young man named Taro. He was gentle, thoughtful, and full of questions. He tried so hard to do everything perfectly, every prayer, every task, every single breath. But the harder he tried, the more restless he became. Whenever something went wrong, a small mistake in his chores, a broken dish, a forgotten chant, his chest would tighten with anxiety. He was terrified of failure, haunted by the idea of imperfection. One morning, after a restless meditation, he approached his master, an old monk whose face held the softness of the wind and the strength of the ancient mountains. Master Taro asked, his voice trembling slightly, "How can I live without this constant worry? I want peace, but my heart never stops running." The master simply smiled, his eyes full of kindness. "You will understand," he said quietly, "when the wind teaches you." Days passed, and the master said nothing more on the subject. Then, one bright morning, Taro sat beneath a tall, magnificent tree after prayers. The air was crisp and clear, the sky a vast, endless blue. As he looked up, a single white feather drifted down, gliding in slow, graceful circles through the sunlight. It floated up, then down, then sideways, never fighting the currents, never falling too fast. The wind carried it wherever it pleased. Taro watched in silence, completely mesmerized. For a moment, all his racing thoughts stopped. His breathing slowed. He felt a stillness stir deep within him, a kind of peace he had never known before. He whispered to himself, "That feather, it doesn't fight the wind, it just goes where it's taken." Just then, his master appeared silently behind him, a gentle smile on his face. "Taro," he said softly, "what do you see?" "A feather, master," Taro replied, his eyes still on the floating speck of white. "It moves wherever the wind takes it. It doesn't resist it, just floats." The master nodded, his gaze following the feather as it danced in the air. "Yes, my child. And that," he said, his voice full of meaning, "is freedom." Taro turned to him, puzzled. "Freedom? But master, it looks like the feather has no control at all." The master chuckled, a warm, soft sound. "True freedom isn't about controlling the wind, it's about trusting it. Life changes just like the wind does. Sometimes it's gentle, and sometimes it's wild. If you fight against it, you will only grow tired and weary. But if you learn to move with it, you will find peace in every single motion." They sat together quietly for a while, watching the feather rise higher and higher until it vanished into the bright, endless sky. That evening, as the monks gathered for their nightly meditation, Taro remembered the feather. This time, he didn't force his breath into a rhythm. He didn't struggle to quiet his busy thoughts. Instead, he let them come and go like the wind, passing through an open window. And for the very first time, his heart didn't resist. It just floated. When the morning sun returned, Taro walked through the courtyard, but this time, he walked slowly, feeling the cool morning wind touch his face. The same wind that once stirred his worries now felt like a gentle friend. He smiled softly, not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because he no longer needed it to be. In the days that followed, the other monks noticed a profound change in him. His movements grew slower and more deliberate, his tone became gentler, and his eyes held a new brightness. When someone spilled water or accidentally dropped a pot, he no longer frowned or sighed in frustration. Instead, he would smile and say, "It's okay. The wind has just moved this way." His newfound calmness began to affect everyone around him. The air in the monastery felt lighter, as if his peace had become contagious. Even the old master watched with quiet joy, knowing that the lesson of the feather had finally taken root in Taro's heart. One evening, as the sun melted behind the hills and painted the sky in shades of gold and orange, the master found Taro sitting once more beneath the same tall tree. The wind played softly with the leaves, and Taro sat perfectly still, a serene smile on his face as he watched the horizon. The master asked, "What have you truly learned from the feather, my child?" Taro bowed his head with gratitude and said, "I've learned that peace is not found when life is perfect, it's found when I stop fighting what I cannot control. The feather taught me that freedom isn't in forcing everything to go my way. It's in trusting the wind, even when I don't know where it's taking me." The master's eyes glowed with warmth. "Yes," he said, "the wind has taught you well. To live like the feather is to live in true peace with movement, not resistance. With faith, not fear. From that day on, Taro lived like the feather, light, calm, and unafraid. When life changed direction, he didn't cling desperately to what was. When storms came, he learned to bend with them. And when the calm returned, he floated again, peacefully. He had finally learned that peace is not found by controlling the wind, but by dancing with it. Life will carry you through countless turns, some high, some low. It will bring gentle breezes and powerful gales. But if you can learn to flow instead of fight, to trust instead of cling, you'll find a hidden beauty in every current. So, the next time the winds of change blow in your life, remember the feather. Don't resist. Let go, float. Trust that the very air that moves you knows exactly where you're meant to go. If this story touched your heart, take a deep breath with me now, and perhaps share it with someone who needs a gentle reminder to stop fighting and start flowing. If you'd like more stories that bring peace, reflection, and light to your day, please consider subscribing to our channel. Together, we can learn to drift through life with a little more ease, just like a feather on the wind. Thank you for being here.